We're at Fort Desoto Park here at the end of St. Petersburg, and we're going to take a ferry over to Egmont Key for a special event.
Well, there's lots of historical things for you to see, and that would be the batteries, and then when you make the circle around, you're going to see where the old barracks in the city, the military city was. In the center, you've got the lighthouse, and they've got all these different little booths set up where you can learn about different forms of wildlife or the seashells or things like that.
We're currently standing in one of the 3-inch gun battery areas for Battery Mellon, which was built and established for the Spanish-American War period. South of us, there are 2 other major gun batteries that held 2 6-inch guns and 2 8-inch guns, and they were to defend the entrance to Tampa Bay from any kind of foreign Navy fleet that would come in, such as the Spanish Navy in 1898, which was in Santiago, Cuba. The island is about 300 acres in size. Has been 100 years ago, it was probably 500 acres. So there's been lots of erosion, lots of continuing erosion now. The island has one permanent resident, that's Tom Watson, the assistant park manager. Everybody else comes and goes that works out here. The state park has 2 other rangers that work here. The Fish and Wildlife Service, who is the prime landlord for the majority of the island, have people that come and go as available for monitoring and controlling the island.
I'm Michael Lusk. I manage what's called the Crystal River National Wildlife Refuge Complex. And the reason it's called a complex is that most people, of course, in Crystal River only know the Crystal River National Wildlife Refuge that sits on Kings Bay, where we manage the manatee sanctuaries. Well, what a lot of people may not realize is that we actually manage 4 other national wildlife refuges on the west coast of Florida. Immediately south of Crystal River, we manage Chassahowitzka National Wildlife Refuge that is primarily marshland, about 32,000 acres. But then past that, we come all the way down into the Tampa Bay area, where we manage 3 refuges, the Pinellas Refuges, which are small mangrove islands that were set aside primarily for seabird and water bird nesting. Egmont Key National Wildlife Refuge, where we are today, that again was set aside mainly for seabirds. And then finally Passage Key, which is immediately south of Egmont Key, which was also set aside for seabird nesting. Egmont Key National Wildlife Refuge is a very, very interesting place, and if you've never been down here, you definitely ought to come. Because not only do we have a huge concentration of breeding seabirds in the summer, in fact over 35,000 breeding pairs, so 70,000 plus breeding birds, but as you might see, that it's very rich in historical history. It has historical Fort Dade that was left over from the Spanish-American War, has a lighthouse from the Civil War era, so there's a lot of really interesting things to see here, and absolutely beautiful beaches. On a busy day in the summer, there can be over 600 boats pulled up to Egmont Key National Wildlife Refuge. So it's an interesting place to work. You know, people think we only do manatees, but that's not true. It's over an hour and a half just to drive down here, and then the Egmont Key is accessible only by boat. So we spend a lot of time and money and resources managing all those refuges, not just the Kings Bay manatee refuges.
Well, there's roughly about 1,800 out here. We think we've been doing a study and documented over 2,200 tortoises in a long study been going on for about 23 years. And earlier this summer we did find turtle number 1. So we know that at least that first turtle is still out here, and due to erosion and other natural events, it's hard to track them, and that's why this is going on, to check location, size, behavior, such like that.
Yeah. Are you a student? Or?
I'm a former Eckerd College student, and
okay.
I've been out here for the last 6 months.
At Egmont Key you can explore cannon turrets, brick streets and sidewalks, and the ruins of a good-sized town. The foundations with structures past are well documented with photos and descriptions. Wildlife and bird life is plentiful, and the beach has been voted the best beach in the world. The lighthouse still functions with one rotation every 15 seconds. To get to Egmont Key, go to the southern end of St. Petersburg to Fort Desoto Park and catch the ferry for the day.